We're ready to go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Today we're working on a Craftsman Platinum mower. Now, we actually worked on this over 3 or 4 days' time because we kept waiting for more parts to come in. The mower needed a new blade, a new drive belt, a new recoil mechanism. We had to rebuild the carburetor. It was just a mess. I asked myself more than once why I bought that thing. But it's up and running now, so let's take a look. If you like it, don't forget to subscribe and click like. Thanks. Today we're going to have a go at this lawnmower. We picked it up yesterday. It's a Craftsman Platinum, and this is how I got it. The starter mechanism had broken. You can see the recoil is just a mess, and unfortunately you have to buy the whole part. You can't buy just that one little piece, even though it's pretty easy to replace. So we're going to go ahead and order one of those. And I noticed all sorts of little oddities. It's got a little wire holding this together, and everything looks to be in order, so we'll figure out why that's there. Oddly enough, the front tires look okay. Usually that indicates it doesn't have a whole lot of time on it. And when I go look at the muffler, it's not too bad. But you can see we've obviously got some sort of oil leak or a fuel leak or something going on here. So we'll chase that down, figure out what that is. Should probably clean up the carburetor. And when you look underneath, there's no drive belt. And the blade is more than a mess. So let's go ahead and take the blade off and order a blade and a drive belt for it. And a new rewind cover. Okay, the best thing about this is just got a new impact wrench and I get to try it out first time on this new blade, on this old blade. Now that was easy. I can see this might be my favorite tool after this. Okay, come on, buddy. There we go. Now we'll take this in and match it up with the new blades that we've got sitting around. See if we can't find something. Gotta admit, this is very aerodynamic. Okay, now we've got room to put the new belt on. We're going to have to pull the top cover off to do that. Okay, let's pull this off so we can get to the belt pulley here. I think that's the only screw holding this on. It is. Okay, very good. A little bit of dust, a little bit of wildlife. And this actually all looks to be in really good shape. Now if you pull these two screws off, this should pop right out. And it does. But make sure you replace this. If you don't, your belt will hop off for sure. Okay, we're starting to get an accumulation of nuts and bolts here, so let's go ahead and grab a magnet. Seems like when I don't do this, I end up losing screws all over the place. And the blade bulb. Okay, that's what we've taken off so far. And now, let's go order ourselves a belt and a blade and a recoil mechanism. This thing really is going to be a little bit of a headache for the amount of parts it's going to take, but I got it really cheap, so we should be able to make $1 or $2 on it anyway. I thought originally we had an oil leak, but everything about this is it's a carburetor leak. So while we wait for our parts, we're going to go ahead and pull the carburetor off and clean her all up. I'm guessing it's probably got a sticky bowl. A little needle in the bowl can stick and allow the gas to overflow. And if you see a leak like this, you definitely want to check your oil, because if it fills up enough, it'll flow back into the engine and you'll have gas in your oil. So we'll add an oil change to the list of things this one needs before it'll be happy. Okay, if I remember right, these carburetors have a really odd sized set of screws on them. Okay, we'll switch off here. And we weren't sure where our leak was coming from before, but we're pretty sure now that we open this up. And these carburetors are held on with an O-ring inside. Let's see, there should be one more screw down here someplace, I think. Yeah, oh, there it is. Okay, sorry about jumping in front of the camera. And there's a carburetor. Now when you take it off, you want to take a picture right here. Because I buy plenty of lawnmowers where the linkage is just all wonky, or sometimes the springs are missing and all that. If you take a picture of it when you take it apart, try to get an angle like this. That way, you'll know exactly where everything goes. I mean, I've even seen this bar on backwards. And the carburetor itself is completely unbolted, as you can see here. And the only thing really holding it down now is the fuel line and these two linkage bars. You'll see the spring is actually attached to the carburetor. I'll come in from the top so you can see this a little bit better. We're going to remove the clamp on the fuel line. Where's it at? There you go. Just scooch him out all the way out of the way. Now we'll use our vice grips to pinch the fuel line. Remember to be gentle pinching the fuel line. You want to stop the fuel flow, but you don't want to crush the line. There you go, that should do it. And now we'll take our needle nose and ease her off. Easing her off isn't always as easy as it sounds. We're going to work it back and forth a little bit to see if we can't break her loose. There it goes. And she's off. Now it's a really short fuel line, so it's going to be hard to take off until you get the carburetor the rest of the way off. Okay, now that we've got the fuel line pinched off, we're going to remove the top wire first. And if we bend this, then we can bend that, and we'll just pop it right off. And then when we put it back on, we'll undo the bend on it. So now the only thing holding us on is this particular wire here. So come on, buddy. And our pliers are a little bit in the way. That's got an O-ring, and we're trying to save the O-ring, so we're trying to be as gentle as we can be. There we go. Now I just pull it out. Go ahead and pull that out, pop that out, and there you go. You've got a carburetor. So let's get inside it and clean her all up. Okay, we're going to grab our little 9/32 that we used on the to remove the carburetor. And we're going to take the ball off. And in this case, because of the behavior we see, we're going to check the jets. We'll go ahead and clean the jets because we're in it. We're checking the float and the needle even more, because I have a feeling that she's pouring too much gas into the motor. Okay, let's see if we can see that. Difficult to see, difficult to focus on, but the needle looks pretty good. But there's no saying that something didn't get caught in here at one point or another. Now here's the jets for one of these. So what you're going to do is you're going to pop this out. With just a screwdriver, she'll pop right out. Oh, there it goes. And what you're looking for is the little holes here. That is your jet, and here. That's what allows the gas when it's sitting in the car, when it's sitting in the motor, like this is below the fuel line, and that's what pulls the gas into the engine. So if you've got any obstruction in here, or in any of these, then it's not going to work correctly. So what you want to do is, if you've got the equipment, go ahead and put it in an ultrasonic. If you don't, run a needle or a pin or a piece of wire even through here and here. And I usually don't use a drill bit, but it's mostly because I just don't have the skill to do it without accidentally boring it out. So I use a tiny little piece of wire. If you bore it out and you're running a 140 or even a 163 and you get this too big, then it'll act like she's choked all the time when she's running. Some people have got the kind of skill where they can run a tiny little drill bit through these, and they do make drill bits for it. Okay, now that we've got this apart, this is as far apart as we need to get it. Now let's put these in the ultrasonic and clean them all up, and then we'll inspect the jets after it's done. Okay, she's about done. She's ran through twice, and that should take care of everything. You can see in here all the hoo-ha and whatnot that came out. This water was pretty clear when we started. Now it looks just downright murky. Grab my little pliers. The water in there is really hot. I could see the bottom easily before, but now not so much. Just like every time, needles always fall through. These don't necessarily need done. Needles don't necessarily need done in the ultrasonic. They can be wiped down pretty easily. But I figure, since I've got it open, this is what we're interested in. I can see air through here now, where you couldn't before. You can see a little bit of light going through. And this, if I blow on it, I can hear it coming out this end. Let's take a little bit of Christmas wire and run it through anyway, just for fun. This wire is just an ideal size to go through these jets. Okay, that tube's open. That tube never gets clogged. That just about never gets clogged. But this is our money tube right here. This is the one that sits down inside the gas. Okay, so now I'm going to blow on this. And that's just pine sol in there. Nothing terribly poisonous. And I'm not getting much. But when somebody talks about cleaning the jets on this particular carburetor, this is what you're cleaning up. 90% of these, you can just clean. You can take this out without even taking the carburetor off the mower, and clean this up. Toss it back in, and off she goes. I don't know if you could hear that, but I could hear it bubbling through when I blow on this. So that should be good to go. So let's toss her all back together. Okay, let's get her all back together. On this one in particular, you want to put the needle in before you clip it in, because it just clips in. It just clips straight down on the carburetor. Usually you'd slide it in from the side. And I can't say one way's better than the other. There you go. Let's go this way so you can see it go in. See, now we're aligned. We're just going to push down on these. There you go, and we heard it click in. Okay, so the next job is going to be putting the jets back in. Putting the jets back in isn't a lot of work. The jets are back in. Now when you put the bowl back on, put a little bit of oil or something on this. Doesn't matter what you put on it, just lubricate it a little bit. because it'll roll up as it goes in if you're not careful. So I'm going to go get a little bit of oil for this. Okay, you can see I got a little bit of oil on my fingertip. I'm just going to make it shiny. Doesn't matter what oil you use, just anything to lubricate it. And you just want to watch, see your little hole here in your bowl. You want to make sure that that goes on so that this is within that hole. If you try to put it on backwards, you'll know you did it wrong because it won't fit. But you can definitely tear things up. There you go, and since it was nicely lubricated, it just slipped right on. Put the screws back on. And now we can move over to the rest of the engine. Okay, well that'll do. When that's all dry, we'll be able to see if there was any leak anywhere. Now we're going to go ahead and clean this up where the O-ring fits on for the carburetor. No reason to create any leaks or obstructions. We don't want it to tear the O-ring up. Okay, that's nice and shiny. Now if you took pictures, this next part is easy. If you didn't take pictures, I wish you luck. But we're going to take this linkage first, because we took it off linkage first. We'll hook the linkage on. Come on, buddy. There you go. We get that out of the way because that's perpetually in our way. And as we slide her in place, we'll put the gas line on, because we remembered that the gas line was a bit of a bear on the way off. There we go. Now it's not tight or sealed very well yet, but it's close enough to get the carburetor realigned. Now the fun part, getting this thing to line up right. And most of what's pushing back against us is the fuel line. I'll go ahead and take this off and shove it the rest of the way on. There we go. We'll put our clamp back on the same way we took it off. Buddy. There we go. Now let's see if we can get this lined up. And there it is. Now because we put a little oil on that, it slid right on. So now we can go ahead and put this piece of linkage on that we bent to take off. And if you took pictures of it, then you'll remember exactly how it goes. We'll put this link back on. And she goes right here. And then again over here, she goes right here. And then we'll bend her straight again. There you go, right about there. And that should do it. And everything feels nice and free on this carburetor. Everything's turning easily. So she should be in really good shape. Okay, and when you're putting the carburetor back together, the threaded screws go on the outside frame. That would be these with the regular machine threads. The plastic screws go on the inside too. Okay, perfect. Okay, we've got our new belt, so we're going to go ahead and get it installed. Belts are pretty easy. So we'll loop it around the bottom pulley underneath. Then we'll come up here and feed it around the top pulley. And we'll just let it sit there for a moment. Then we'll go back under and go ahead and put our retainers in. Let's see. This one goes here. I'm going to trade sides so that I can reach it easily. There we go. And she lays in to a little spot there, so we don't have to worry about inadvertently having her twist on us. Okay, everything seems to have lined up pretty good. So let's go over to the top. Okay, the top one will be even easier because we don't have to be underneath the lawnmower doing it. That just scoots in right there and 2 screws hold it in and we're done. Two tiny little screws hold it in. There's one of them. And there's the other one. Now we'll switch bits and toss the cover back on, and this one's finished. Well, this little part's finished. This mower needs a whole lot of little parts. And now we wait for the next set of parts. A new air filter and new blade just came in today. And this is the part where it's really nice to have a magnet or some sort of a container for all your bolts. So we've got one bolt left on the little magnet we stuck on this motor when we first started working on it. And it's for the blade. So once we stick this on, we're officially done. Okay, we've got our blade. Let's get her back together. This is where it's great to keep your tools on the magnet for any one project. This project took days between getting all the parts. Okay, let's find her spot here. There she is. Okay, everything looks to be good. Everything clears. Spin it around one time. And I'm not worried about spinning the motor around because the safety on it will keep it from trying to start on me when I spin the blade. Okay. Alrighty then, let's throw the new air filter on her. Now after a week of little projects, this one's ready to try to start. She's 100% together, finally. Okay, after an unfortunate amount of time and parts, I think we finally got this guy ready to go. Let's find out. That sounds pretty good. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Well, looks like this one's ready for sale. Finally. This project took about a week of time and it was spread out over many days. I got a few parts in here and a few parts in there. And this got a new recoil, got the carburetor rebuilt, got a new blade and got a new belt. So basically the only thing we kept was the paint job on this one, but I'm pretty happy with it and there's still $1 to be made here. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe.